The BRICS is trying to position itself as the voice for emerging economies.
The expansion of BRICS could definitely boost the group's global influence.
It makes up more than 40% of the world's population.
They supply us with a lot of goods. They also have loaned us a lot of money.
The US dollar, which has been dominating the international market for years and has been seen as the currency to have, is in trouble. From international trade to freelance platforms, everyone trades in dollars, but that might change for good. What is BRICS? BRICS is the alliance of different countries coming together. These countries are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. This term in its older days used to be just BRIC before South Africa decided to join in. Together, these countries have the potential to dominate and are a threat to the US. Their combined GDP is more than $25 trillion, which makes them a formidable economic force. If you look at it on the world map, BRICS makes up 41% of the world's population and controls 26.7% of the world's surface area, which is not only huge, but places them ahead of the global economic powerhouses like the US and the UN. Before we continue, subscribe to unlock exclusive insights into the ever-evolving world of BRICS. Your thoughts matter, so drop them in the comments. All right, let's kick off. How BRICS started. The current world order is controlled by the US only, and their currency has a pretty strong standing right now. The value of the dollar is determined by different things, like how much of it different countries have. But that value may soon go down. The concept of BRICS was first introduced by Jim O'Neill, the chief economist at Goldman Sachs, in a 2001 study titled Building Better Global Economic BRIC. Initially, it was just Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and these countries were making some big moves. In 2006, Goldman Sachs offered a source of foreign expansion to BRIC, but they lost 88% of their value in 2010, which led to the end of Goldman Sachs giving them funds in 2015. Why did Goldman Sachs decide to pull the plug and stop the whole thing altogether? That's because they didn't see any kind of growth in the near future. Then in 2010, South Africa, another country with a growing economy, decided to join them, and that's when BRIC became BRICS.
South Africa has received a formal invitation to join the Brazil, Russia, India and China, or BRIC, group of large emerging economies.
The main goal of BRICS is to become the dominant player in the world economy by the year 2050 and has its own architecture. The financial architecture. The financial architecture of BRICS is made of the New Development Bank, NDB, and the Contingent Reserve Arrangement, CRA. These two crucial components were first introduced back in 2014 and became operational in 2015. The New Development Bank is commonly called the BRICS Bank, which is an organization that works a lot like the IMF. It was established back in 2014, and it was made to reduce poverty and boost the economy of these countries. Its headquarters are in Shanghai, China, and has other regional offices in China and South Africa for easier communication between these countries. The kinds of projects the NDB facilitates are energy, transportation, water supply, and sanitation. The NDB is something that was a multilateral development bank. What it's responsible for is extending loans to finance infrastructure and sustainable development projects. These projects aren't just limited to BRICS nations, but can serve other developing countries as well. The CRA, on the other hand, works like a reserve pool, offering liquidity to member countries that find it hard to balance payments. BRICS and its architecture put the US dollar in a difficult situation. Right now, BRICS members are trying to formulate and figure out a strategy to execute the idea of trading between themselves. This means that they want to increase the volume they trade in with one another. To do that, they are trying to come up with one unique currency that they will use within the group. This is shocking news for the West because it has the potential to reduce Western influence and control over these major trading nations. The concept of another currency, other than the dollar, would now mean that there would be a similar stable currency that would challenge the dominance of the US dollar in international trade and finance. China and India progressing so fast isn't helping the US either. China, often referred to as the workshop of the world, is a key player here and is making great moves in driving the overall growth of the BRICS group. China has manufacturing capabilities like no other country in the world. They export on a huge scale and have been the force behind driving BRICS to economic success. But China isn't the only one making big moves in the market. We have India in there, which has also contributed to the success of the group. What makes India unique is that they have a population of educated and English-speaking workforce, which makes it easier to connect and interact with foreign investors, and has gained their attention in the past couple of years. Their combined efforts have boosted the value of not only their own currency, but also the BRICS group. But these countries don't necessarily get along with each other. They have their differences. These countries don't really see eye to eye and have had their differences in the past. Even though they are members of BRICS and are working with each other, they don't really like each other. Unlike the G7, these countries have different economies, politics, and militaries, which does cause some problems for them, which will limit their geopolitical clout. India is a long rival of China and has been for many years. They've had their disputes back in the day and have even had some military conflicts on the border, but it's not only India that's a little hostile. Other countries are also a little skeptical of China and its efforts to enlarge the economic bloc. But even with these issues, the BRICS countries are still working in harmony alongside each other and are even working on hosting their own Olympics. BRICS has the potential to get even stronger. BRICS right now has the potential to add more countries to it.
We have decided to invite the Argentine Republic, the Arab Republic of Egypt, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates to become full members of BRICS.
If Saudi Arabia with its amazing bank joins them, they can really turn things around for BRICS, while Egypt with its already poor economy and Iran with so many sanctions imposed on it won't be of much help, but they will finally get some funding. How is BRICS good for developing countries? They are planning to ditch the US dollar and trade in another currency, which will make them far less vulnerable to the fluctuations in the US market. Not only that, but now they can trade in their currency and don't have to go through the process of buying a US dollar, meaning lower transaction cost and a much more efficient trade. This will only devalue the dollar even more. How is this bad for the dollar? When these BRICS countries aren't as dependent on the dollar because they're now trading in their own currency, the demand for the dollar will go down worldwide, which will cause the dollar, after the pandemic, to devalue even further. Right now, the US dollar is the currency that is dominant in international trade, and with BRICS, the dollar could lose its footing. As of now, BRICS countries hold US Treasury bonds, which in simple terms helps the dollar stay debt-free and keep its value. BRICS not wanting the dollar anymore would also mean that it would cost more for the US to borrow more money, which they can't avoid because when trying to avoid default, countries borrow more money, which puts them in debt and increases inflation. To add to that, when the US dollar loses its value, the services and exports that the US exports will become much more expensive in international markets. With more price demands and other countries being able to replicate the same kind of services for much cheaper prices will mean less demand for US products, affecting the dollar big time. Do you think BRICS is a threat to the US economy? Let us know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed today's video, then make sure to leave us a thumbs up. And do not forget to subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon to be always updated with the most exciting content as soon as it's uploaded. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video, where we'll delve into how Saudi Arabia joins BRICS and declines the West.